But I want to be your boyfriend, Asahina.
Tell me you're joking. You're setting me up for a practical joke, aren't you?
Fuck you, bitch. You broke my heart.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half.
Suzuka is a high school romance anime that I actually don't hate. I'm well aware that the target audience for most anime series are teenagers, and I'm fine with that. I just think the classroom as a setting is incredibly boring. That's why, if I have to watch shows that focus on teenagers, I enjoy ones like Suzuka, for example, because although it focuses on the lives of teenagers, it acknowledges the fact that they have lives outside of the classroom. In fact, the most school activities we're gonna see in this anime are on their track and field team, which was a very pleasant change from the norm. The story follows three central characters. Suzuka is a high jumper who's incredibly motivated and constantly pushes herself to be her very best, but her emotions are conflicted due to lack of closure from a tragedy that happened a couple years in her past. Yamato is a naturally gifted sprinter who recently moved to Tokyo to attend high school. He joins the track team to pursue Suzuka, who he fell in love with at first sight as he watched her train. Honoka is a childhood acquaintance of Yamato who secretly loved him ever since they met at her family shrine. She's a very soft-spoken, traditional, and innocent girl. What I love most about the show is how the characters interacted with each other. This is easily one of the better examples of a love triangle in anime done right. Yamato desperately loves Suzuka, but things don't exactly go as planned considering that he's a teenager who's totally incapable of picking up on social cues. This causes him to misinterpret Suzuka's tough love approach to motivation, and in many cases leads him to escalating a minor problem to becoming a full-blown out argument. Despite his unrequited love of Suzuka, Yamato is only human, which leads him into the temptation of Honoka's advances. Although the dynamic between Suzuka and Yamato is confrontational to say the least, his connection to Honoka represents a whole different range of complication. Due to Honoka's upbringing, she's a very feminine and traditional girl. She cares for Yamato, which leads her to encourage him from the sidelines and cook him a nice meal after a hard day of practice. While Yamato truly appreciates this, he's left in a state of conflict, uncertainty over his feelings for Suzuka after being rejected, and guilt for feeding into Honoka's pure-hearted emotions despite knowing deep down that he doesn't feel as strongly for her as he does for Suzuka. I also like how the story isn't solely from the perspective of Yamato, as it adds an extra level of depth by showing the perspective of the other characters as well. For example, we see Suzuka struggling internally to cope with the death of a loved one, which manifests itself physically as she struggles to improve her high jump with little success. This stress is compounded by Yamato's constant pursuit of her, which often results in her lashing out at him when she's at wit's end. Honoka also struggles with her place in life as she decides how to handle the man she loves for so many years of her life, having his heart set on another woman. Can she win him over? If not, is she still capable of supporting him in spite of her true feelings? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. With all of this talk of the characters' complications, there's some heartwarming emotion-filled moments as a result of it. I won't exactly say which moments though for the sake of spoilers, but this anime doesn't skirt around with the idea of characters having a real relationship, unlike many other anime where characters only act a little bit flirty with each other. It actually goes a bit further than that. I don't like to be one of those dudes that tries to predict everything that happens, and then when the prediction comes true, say it's bad for being predictable, and if the prediction is wrong, then say it's bad for not having done what I wanted it to. Having said that, the name of the anime is Suzuka, so that's bound to leave a lot of people having some preconceived notions as to what's gonna happen at the end of the story. All I know is that some will probably call me an idiot for what I'm about to say here, but around the halfway point, I really felt like Yamato could have ended up with someone other than Suzuka, and that's a compliment to the story. Look at it this way. If Yamato ends up with Suzuka, he wins because she's the girl of his dreams, but if he ends up with Honoka instead, then he still wins because she's a great girl that's almost everything he could want. Although I won't complain about predictability, this series does fall short in a few areas for me personally. First of all, episode 1 almost made me drop it, and if not for the fact that this was an anime that I own on DVD, I probably would have. The premise of the show is that Yamato is staying with a relative who owns a bathhouse, which Yamato cleans in exchange for living there. So in episode 1, he found himself cleaning the women's locker room area, which ultimately led him to stumbling face first on top of a girl, leaving him in a compromising position. Looking back on the anime, this moment is so bizarre because it's practically the only instance of sexual fan service in the entire series, save for one other moment that wasn't exactly sexualized, but because of this, it feels like it cheapens the anime. Maybe they did this because they wanted to entice the largest demographic of anime fans, you know the ones I'm talking about. the horny ones. But who knows, maybe there's only 2 fan service moments here because the manga is much more graphic and they had to censor the anime, or maybe they just had a quota of perverted moments to add because they knew the target audience. Aside from that, the only problem you may have is that Yamato and Suzuka aren't the most likable characters. They're both complainy characters who will leave you wanting to yell at the TV when they do something so brain-numbingly stupid. Although I built up a tolerance for watching anime that consists of characters that I don't like, I prefer to like the characters, but for me, these two weren't unlikable enough for that to cause a problem for me. In fact, as the story continued, I actually warmed up to them a bit more due to how transparent the storytelling was in depicting their thoughts and emotions. Although some may write off Yamato as a whiny beta male or Suzuka as a tsundere archetype, I feel like this is an unjust description considering how well these characters are fleshed out and how they gradually developed into more likable characters by the end of the show. And in regards to Honoka, she's actually a pretty boring character through and through. She's likable, but she's very boring, so I can understand why this may be a turnoff for some people who require that they actually have likable characters in the story. As for the side characters, I don't have a whole lot to say about them due to the show focusing so much on its 3 central characters, but there was this one girl who thought it would be a great idea to try and swoop in and pick up Yamato during his lowest emotional moment like it was free real estate. This has got to be the dumbest thing because it happens in the last third of the anime. Everyone watching has long decided that Yamato is not a trophy boyfriend and it's not a harem anime, so I don't know why she's even here. The only redeeming quality that I can find in Yamato is that maybe because he's really good at track, he's good at running, so he is physically fit, and also I guess you could say he's popular because he's really good at what he does, but his personality is a total train wreck, and she should know him well enough to know that that's a big red flag. All she accomplished was making me wonder if Suzuka actually had a visual novel because there's no way this dude has done anything warranting the attention of several women, let alone at the same time. Overall, Suzuka is an anime that checks all of the necessary boxes required for it to be a good story which progresses smoothly and ends on a heartwarming moment that will leave you satisfied. However, the big variable here will be your tolerance of believable yet semi-unlikable characters. There's actually a sequel to Suzuka called Fuka, but I have no plans to watch it. I enjoyed Suzuka, but I am content enough with its ending to not need to watch a sequel, plus anybody that I know who's ever mentioned the fact that they've seen this have said that it's not really worth watching. So overall, I do recommend watching Suzuka if you're a fan of romance anime, and if you've already seen it and you're looking for another romance anime with a love triangle, I can safely recommend 2 shows that handle this aspect better. They are Rumbling Hearts, an anime about a man whose girlfriend goes into a coma. During this time, he falls in love with her best friend, and oddly enough, the original Super Dimension Fortress Macross. I know it's a mecha, but it really does feature one of my favorite romance stories in all of anime. But what I want to know is, what did you think of this review? Let me know in the comment section below because your support is crucial for me to continue making anime reviews. Over the past few months of the channel evolving into a variety channel to suit my personal needs of just liking more stuff aside from anime, I had many viewers complaining about me not making anime videos anymore, but most of those people have never left a comment on my videos before. I'm not like a lot of other YouTubers. I read my comments. I have a connection with my viewers through live streams and Discord and just the comment section in general because I do read all the comments, but if you like what I do, you have to let me know, otherwise how will I know that you want to see more? Lastly, I wanted to thank my patrons for sticking with me and supporting the channel, especially the ones who have gone above and beyond with their donations, such as Duncan Austin, Nia-chan, Light Lelouch, Brady the Undefeated Magician, and Q Mark, as well as everyone else listed here for their support. If you'd like to support the channel and gain access to the Patreon Discord community where we occasionally watch stuff together and also have weekly chats, then check the link in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay classy.